So we're just looking at a bunch of replacements, free-to-play options. We currently still have Deborah in. But we're trying Ezio over Leah. Ezio AI seems pretty terrible though, from what I've seen here so far. I tried Deva before, I wasn't too impressed actually. But I took the exact runes of Leah onto Ezio right now, and Ezio's not skilled up, so it's not crazy good. Julie, I wouldn't recommend to go Julie, because Julie is going to 6-hit this boss if things go wrong. Like, there's a bunch of things in life that are fine, but I don't recommend that. Yeah, I think if you want to go semi-free to play, Savannah on the slot of Leia's probably best replacement. But we're currently looking at full free-to-play replacements, and okay, if I would skill up, I would probably do enough damage to have that killed. So, technically it's not that bad, it's just that his AI is pretty shit. Yeah, you could build him with, like, he's currently on the Swift set, so he's not by all means on, like, the best set to do this. And he has the backup armor break, so I would say that if you don't have a Leia, Wind Ezio, which is currently not skilled and on the wrong set, is a pretty decent option. Uh-oh. And that happens from time to time. So, it is an option. Is it one of the better options out there? I'm not entirely sure. What if you don't have a Kamamir, then you get a Kamamir? That's... that part is out of the question, sir. It's a free-to-play unit. Okay, let's see a Veromos on this exact set. Well, to be honest... Wait, I think I could have better had Veromos at the previous set. Because this set doesn't make sense for Veromos at all. Does this make sense for the current speed tuning? I think it does. Yep. Let's try Veromos over Leia. Think you're in front of those, right? Yep. Any of the Deborah ults? We'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, I was kind of hoping that maybe he would stomp hard enough to actually kill, but apparently not the case. So Veromos S2 is good for stunning. It makes the waves a lot safer. And it's good on this boss, but it doesn't give you any backup armor break. So the non-backup armor break part makes it that you still need the Deborah in there rather than anything else. But I have something in mind that actually might replace the Deborah also. And it's more likely people will have Veromos skilled up than not, I guess. Depends how long you've been playing. But I guess that could totally be could be a thing. If you want to see the current team for best sets, be the second video. But it seems somewhat decent, I would say, to switch. The Leia is not that hard to replace. I think the Deborah, of course, is a lot harder to replace because of the passive and the depth break. But I have an idea for that as well, and that's an idea that a lot of people are probably not going to like, because if I use that unit, I hear a lot of people already complain most of the time. But I do kind of like the Veromos, because Veromos S2 also makes it that the side towers take less turns, because they get pushed back. So, but the thing is, always when I touch this unit, and we're going to quad speed this real quick. That's actually not bad at all. Attacking here, that's actually fucking insane. The unit that I'm talking about is the unit, you're not gonna like it, Homunculus. A lot of people like it on the whatever build for TOA and that kind of shit. To be honest, you can do TOA with 1,000 things. You don't need Homunculus for TOA. You don't need Homunculus for Phaemon, and you don't need Homunculus for Subjugation. Okay, for Subjugation, maybe, arguably. You do need Homunculus for the best set for PC10 though. But what I'm thinking of is that you have this one skill over here, which is defense break and damage to enemy max HP. And this skill, damage to enemy max HP. You tried that thing yesterday, was ultra disappointing. Really? Is it really slow for animations? Because I don't want to waste my resources too much.
A few moments later.
I'm curious, should I waste my resource for trusting this? We will. Removes one beneficial effect. It is not bad for removing that, but I come here for Lynn is the Holy Trinity, then add 2 Death Breakers. It seems that way, it seems that way. Okay, then the big question, do we want to do this or do we want to do this? I think the AoE Death Break actually kind of does make sense. But then again, this skill is a lot of damage on it. But do we need more damage for the boss? I think more damage for the waves is actually probably what we need more than more damage for the boss. Yeah, AoE Death Break is actually pretty nice because I'm trying to replace Deborah in here. Replacing Deborah is pretty much, you need to have AoE of that. Yeah, that part actually does make sense. And in this case, we're going for the lazy way again. And the lazy way being is... we put Leah runes on that unit right away. Over there. We have the team with the Veromos still running. Yep. It is quite a bit slower than the Leah, I guess. But let's see how slow we're looking at with these runes. We had a 1-minute run. Actually, except for that 1-minute run, we had pretty nice average. But this is the part where it gets hard. How do you replace Deborah? Well, Savannah is a very good replacement throughout, if you have Savannah. It's probably not built specifically for this dungeon, but if you have it, that makes it very nice. But let's see how this works out when we replace this unit as well. Oh shit, that animation is long. Holy fuck! That animation is... S2 animation is not that. It does give the freezes. I don't mind about that part. The freeze is pretty nice. Yeah, that animation is... holy shit. Okay, okay. Don't mind if you actually do armor break, anyone? Okay, maybe it needs to be slightly bit tankier than my set is right now. But does it work? Yeah. Maybe transmog? Do I even have the transmog on this thing? Nope, they don't have this one. I unlocked these two. I think that was the last season before I got the G3s. Yeah, it's just that S3 is long as fuck. But to be honest, I think those 4 units together work pretty well. It's just this slot that we have to fill for something else that makes sense. Okay, S3. Wrong S2. He never used this skill at the right moment for anything yet so far. Oh, how much damage? 140. It's kind of mediocre. You tried Sigmaris or not? I haven't tried Sigmaris here yet, no. But to be honest, we also got to keep in mind he doesn't have the optimal set where he has a lot of crit damage. He has the set with mediocre crit damage, so he's a fast set right now with mediocre stats, so we do have to keep that part in mind. Try Camilla. I'd rather have a backup armor break, so that's why I want his S2 to armor break. So, kind of a backup AoE armor break is kind of what I'm fitting for this role, because we have enough damage on the boss anyways. That's not a big issue. But yeah, he's fitting the role as AoE armor breaker right now, but he uses that skill too often, which is just pretty slow. Have you tried Celine? No, wait, what is the... Don't you need attack buff for Celine to actually armor break? And Celine itself is pretty shitty long skill as well. Well, it's still kind of working, but we can get fast runs, but it's not averaging like super fast. And the main issue is your animation is suck. Dark Monkey. Dark Monkey. I think that's replacing one problem with another problem. That's not really solving things. This animation is so godforsaken long. Holy shit. Yeah, not a big Celine fan. Yeah, Celine doesn't really add too much. You don't need a tech buff. Shared makes things somewhat safer, but it doesn't really help anything. Dark Harpy. Well, issue with Dark Harpy, doesn't she also S2 multi-hit? Like, to be honest, her AI is shit. But if she lands a branding, it's nice. If she lands an armor break, it's nice. So, in all honesty, she does kind of make sense. Because if she does branding, you kind of overcome the issue that Deborah has. Imagine being able to turn off S2. Yeah, it's just the S2. Like, I don't like it that she hits for 2 times on an S2. Plus, she's very likely to die herself. Well, let's see how Celine runs are doing. I think it's pretty slow. Yeah, Celine is a no-go. That's it makes it very slow. Wait, actually, isn't she perfect? Wait, it actually might make a lot of sense. Because if her skill 2 is not maxed, does it mean that she has less chance of doing her skill 2? Oh, that one is actually maxed. Lol. Yeah, I just need one more skill up in the S1. Well, I can do 2 more still, even if it goes both in S2. Don't do me like this, Comtus. Do not do me like this. Don't tell me everything goes skill 2 right now. Skill 1. Don't do me like this, Comtus. How do I remove this? I want to move. I cannot unclick it. 50-50 time, yeah, 3 times, oh wait, that was 5 times 50-50? Five times 50-50. This game, man, this game, sometimes. Okay, this thing would probably need a lot more tanky stats than this, because otherwise it would just freaking die. So I think you still die in 1 hit, but you're just a death break. Like, to be honest, it's a free-to-play Jara, yeah, pretty much. Free-to-play way worse Jara. But her S2 actually does kind of help on the waves, I would say. Go Crow, maybe. Crow is also... Crow might actually not be that bad, too. Yeah, why didn't I think of Crow? That actually kind of makes sense here, too. Because Crow is technically somewhat similar to a Hellea as well. It's 90% on the death break. Yeah, true. The Crow S3 doesn't death break. Well, branding still ups your damage by a lot, but... If we're looking at, like, if this would be sub 45-second average for full free-to-play team, I wouldn't mind it. Hellea provides the death break. I cannot rely on just Galleon death breaking. And she has 2 skills potentially death breaking, which makes her decent. That's what your wife said. Eh, giggity. Actually, the damage with branding is totally not bad. I kinda like Hellea. But Hellea's backup... It's totally not bad, actually. Like, to be honest, I could see this getting like a 30-second run. If it goes perfect AI, which is very unlikely because all of these units are somewhat shit AIs. But if we go full perfect AI here, I think you can clear pretty much everything very fast. Oh, I did skill up Akamamir. S3. Noob unit. Fucking nooblin, why you never S3? You do need 35 accuracy for Galleon in this stage, yes. Technically, the rotation of Akamamir moving before Veromos makes sense in this. I currently don't want to swap the runes, but it would make sense because a Kamamir S3 can clear the wave if it's full depth broken. That was a very nice run. I think that's like 30 second, maybe even sub 30 second. 28 second, free to play. 28 second free to play team. Hey. That pretty gangster or what? And then the turn rotation of switching these two around would even be better because this skill can insta clear the waves. The Veromos can't. Very free to play runes as well. Yes. These are free to play runes. If you don't have these runes, you're not free to play runes. Or you're not free to playing enough. You're just lazy. Oh, well, just kidding. A Kamamir on a little bit more accuracy would actually make sense as well, because then you can actually stun those waves. Currently you cannot. Any replacement? Yes. Lucifer. Lucifer is your replacement if it cannot one-shot. Lucifer is your replacement. Zerath is your replacement. Veromos should be fast so he doesn't get counted in that way. But we're still winning. Let's see, we're pretty close to a run of 10. Okay, this run was a lot slower. 46 second average on the free-to-play team without free-to-play runes. So, is this workable? Yes, totally. What would you replace if you have some net 5s? Well, if you have a pretty nice team, but you cannot make it work safe all the time, this. In the end, this is your optimal way to make things safe. Because as long as your team drags your Leica to the boss, Leica will always solo the boss. It will take long, but Leica will always solo the boss. He doesn't lose. And then Leica's just on, do I still have him ruined? Something whatever like this, high vampire set, that kind of stuff. My Daika died once to the boss, well, sucks to be you. Savannah, of course, makes this very safe. Savannah is absolutely a great unit in this. Doesn't even have to have specific runes. You can kind of use your Siege Savannah for this. But if you want to go specific runes, then I would go pretty high attack on her so she can make sure that she can definitely break the boss. Because you need to have higher defense than the enemy or higher attack than the enemy defense to actually land that stuff. So that is definitely a thing. Other options I tried, as you can see in the video as well. I tried this thing. I wasn't too happy about it. Not on this build, by the way, but that is an option. He has the Death Break, but you're kind of looking for a Death Break replacement in this. That's why the Hellea does make a lot of sense. And that's why the Hellea also has the branding, which makes a lot of sense to overcome for not having a Deborah. Other units that you could use over here is probably a Teshar, maybe no, actually, I wouldn't replace a Kamamir, because a Kamamir just has so much damage. He has the S2 pushback, he has the S3 that has enough damage potential to actually clear the waves. Very solid unit. Veromos just adds in the safety with the cleanses. Is a very solid unit for that S2. These are the runes. So definitely that is a must. Galleon, I think, is a very solid unit throughout as well. Technically, you do not really need the attack buff because most of the damage you do is based on defense breaking the enemy and then dealing damage by enemy max HP. Sure, those runes are very not much free to play. But I think with this kind of setup, you can kind of push for like a 50-55 second kind of thing. And that makes things a bit faster. So what about Double Demon? Double Demon doesn't work because one demon cancels out the passive of the other demon because you cannot revive. So the thing what you want to do with this team is, I would recommend to have these 4 units if you go full free to play. And then if you have Savannah, add in Savannah. Otherwise, try Hellea or any other Death Breaker. I think those are by far your best options to replace Deborah. Replacing Leah is relatively easy. So if you do have a Deborah but you don't have a Leah, then replacing Leah can be replaced by like a Teshar, can be replaced by Mephisto, can be replaced by Savannah. Leah's just the damage output there. Technically, this unit is a pretty decent replacement for Leah as well. So there's just a lot of good replacements for that. You could also say, that's actually something I will test. I haven't tested yet. And I'm going to be very lazy on this one. We're going to test Jultan, because Jultan technically doesn't have the issue of using the wrong skill. Yep, perfect runes. Doesn't have the issue of using the wrong skill. It does have the multi-hit, but then again, Leah or Hellea also has a multi-hit. And we're just gonna give this a try. Let's see that a run of 10. And we have the gangster look on him. But yeah, it's just a solid death breaker as well. All of the other units will bring into the boss pretty much. And just being a solid death breaker is pretty nice. Only issue is you do not have branding. And branding can sometimes save your ass when things can go wrong and that kind of stuff. Because branding in the end, it does add a lot of damage to your whole team if, well, yeah, it just adds a lot of damage to your whole team. Also, Hellea S2 kind of helps in this stage because it stuns a unit, which is kind of nice. But yeah, we have the gang. Look at them walking. Motherfucking fuck you up. Okay. So also Lynn is a shit unit for never using her S3 properly, but still she's more of a must to use in this case. Rather than like you could say like, oh, but Luna was HOH. Can I not just use Luna? Yes, technically you can, but the issue is Luna is a 4-turn cooldown where Lynn is a 3-turn cooldown. Plus the fact that there's a multi-hit on the S1, which you don't really like. Plus the fact that we have Lynn also doing additional damage on max HP on the skill 1 and the skill 2. So it's not much. It's like a 0-8 and a 0 or a 0-0-8 and a 0-1 or something. And then the skill 3 is I think 0-15 and Luna is a 0-16. Don't add me on those numbers if I'm wrong on any of those, but that's kind of what I think the numbers are at. But yeah, for that reason, Lin is just so much more powerful. We need a Lin 2A that gets perfect AI. Come to us. You're listening, right? That would be very nice. No, that would make things too easy, I guess. But yeah, I guess the Jultan is a pretty nice, solid replacement as well for being pretty certain on having the correct things in and the correct things going. You do have that issue sometimes where it still counters, but Veromos on a tanky set just makes things a lot safer. And I think actually if you build your Jultan very tanky and your Veromos very tanky, that could be a very nice failsafe too. Because the Veromos that I showed before it's still a high crit damage set, yes, absolutely. But it is more of a tanky set rather than a super high damage set. So, and I have Jultan on triple fight right now. You do not need triple fights for this boss at all. Like, fight runes, by all means, like people were talking about the dungeon where you farm seal is still very valuable because you need fight runes. To be honest, with Abyss, no, you don't. Because attack scaling towards damage from enemy max HP is relatively low. So, yeah, technically what Sean B is saying, you can do this on a triple shield set and that makes things a lot safer. So, yeah, that's definitely something that you could work on. And this, of course, you want to put like the minus water on here because this thing just doesn't do any damage as well. So yeah, you can actually build this one very tank. Veromos very tank with high crit damage. And that way you can probably get pretty far for this dungeon for making it a lot faster and a lot safer. And I think we're looking... It is somewhat slower than the Hellea. That does make sense because Hellea in the end, it is more damage output. This is just safer, I guess. But I think we could see like a pretty fast run in here as well. It's just the issue that Lin is so often. I pew for the S1, man. I just go S1. So yeah. You could even throw accuracy and enhanced sets on Jultan. Yes, I would technically go for accuracy sets. Enhanced sets could help to make your whole team survive. That's definitely true. But if you go accuracy sets, you don't need that much accuracy for the Akamamir and Veromos S2 too, because Akamamir and Veromos preferably still have that 35 accuracy, because then they're pushing back the towers and the boss. And that's definitely a big thing that, like, if the left tower never takes a turn, you never get that broken, which is just a big W in general. So my Akamamir only has 7, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think he has 7 accuracy. Veromos has 38, so Veromos is fine. But Akamamir is not. You need 50 for the... Or this boss has 50 resistance. And yeah, then you need 35 accuracy. For dragons, you do need more. Dragons is still 65, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, quickly to glance over the runes of this team. Yes, they are very endgame runes. Yes, I do know that part. But if you try with like some lower rune requirements, I think you can totally make a speed team out of this with fully free-to-play units, because these are all fully free-to-play units, and that's the name of the game. Question I get a lot, do I need a Kamamir on skill ups? The answer is technically no. Does it make it better? Yes, by a lot. So that is your simple answer. Do you want to make your team better by a lot or not? Yeah, that's up to you. So in this case, we do have the that skill landing, which is kind of annoying, but I think we're still pretty much good to go. Yeah, totally good to go, even if you go for the counter right now. Yeah, that's just the main thing. If you keep these two units strong enough where they can hit, where they can take like 2 or 3 counters, that's definitely something that would increase your run like succession rate. We can see it is a bit slower, but we're still definitely, I would say that this would be like around 50-second average. The other team was around like 46-second average, but other team I could see failing more. Looking at the runes, however, this thing is a 166 Vio set. I do recommend you to throw in, you don't need the fight set, by the way. Fight set is kind of overdone for the reasons that I mentioned before. But I do really recommend to throw a good Vio set towards Galleon. You don't really need the 100 crit rate, but the high speed I highly recommend, because then he's cycling, lapping other units, giving more chances to give defense break. Plus, using a Galleon like this in Siege is very good, because you want the Galleon looking pretty much exactly like this for your Siege Galleon, because it just adds so much more to your Tiana Galleon teams. Akamamir is a full-on stack on crit damage with 85 crit rate. You want that more accuracy. Also for these things, I actually added in more crit damages, like crit damage throughout on everything, and then this is just damage on water. This one is not that great. But yeah, this is pretty high on the crit damage. Galleon also, for this dungeon specifically, only needs 35 accuracy, but as I mentioned, I'm using this Galleon in Siege as well, so I want 85, of course. The Jultan, as mentioned before, is triple fight, doesn't need triple fight at all. I would give any runes to support your team. Could be shield runes, could be enhanced runes, could be accuracy runes, could even be determination runes, just adding some extra stats throughout. He doesn't really do that much damage himself anyway, so you just might want to build him a lot more tank. This is crit rate and that kind of stuff. Just go for triple HP on this thing. Veromos, once again, also do not focus on attack on Veromos. I do recommend to focus attack on Akamamir, because Akamamir has 3 skills with attack. Veromos has 1 skills with speed, Veromos has 2 skills with HP, so he doesn't care that much about attack at all. And or enemy HP, not your HP, but enemy HP. So therefore I just go slot 4 and slot 6 on HPs, or slot 2 and slot 6 on HPs, and then rest just adding in as much crit damage as possible. Also damage on water. I do have an attack artifact in here. You can kind of go for an HP artifact, but this one was better for more damage on it. And then also the crit damage skill too. So this actually has a lot of crit damage that way. Shield is actually very nice, because shield actually adds in more HP to this. However, Lin, you kind of want to add more defense rather than more HP in most cases. So also what you can see, technically I would like to have a defense artifact with high damage on water on this. And this is also a defense artifact, because as you can see, 329 base is probably one of the lowest base defense in the game for a 3-star, because it has pretty high HP, pretty high attack. But definitely a defense-based artifact has very high value for Lin. So best would be to add both of those. My Lin does survive if she doesn't get hit in previous stages before, so I'm kind of okay with that. The attack is not necessarily really needed. I even have a defense in here. Would technically be better to have an HP percent in here, because the defense percentage value of this is only like 150. And to be honest, that's like, this is pretty much as much value as this. So a flat defense on Lin is actually almost as good as a defense percent. So an HP percent would make a lot more sense, but it has pretty good side stats. That's why I used it. So yeah, that's definitely a thing to keep in mind. Lin has pretty low defense, and you just want to add as much crit damage as possible and high crit rate. So that's pretty much it for the team. I think this is a lot easier to farm. In the previous video, you already seen that the new raids are a lot better. I have to record the previous video after this, so we're like time jumping and shit. But I'll have that video placed before this one, so that makes sense for that reason. But as far as I've seen a little bit about the dungeon drop rates increase, it looks quite a bit better. So guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe and like if you haven't yet. See you in the next one.